You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't.
Hello, listeners. I'm Bale Musitz, the host of the 15 Minutes Share Your Voice podcast, where we talk to top-notch law firms and attorneys about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help your law firm accomplish its objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and to make sure you're getting the best return on investment, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. Today's guest on the podcast is attorney James Grant. He is one of the founding partners of Georgia Trial Attorneys at Kirchen Grant, LLC. James has extensive trial experience, and he is the firm's lead trial attorney. Georgia Trial Attorneys also works with other law firms as a litigation resource across the southeast of the United States. Welcome to the podcast, James.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. So tell me a little bit about your firm and what it does.
Yeah, so we're a little bit different than the typical personal injury law firm. The typical personal injury law firm that many of us think of and that many of your listeners are probably, following that same pattern is, hustle, market, sell. It's kind of what I say a lot is, they're beating the ground and they're beating the streets. They're, doing everything they can to get cases in the door and then run them through the pre-litigation process. That, a lot of people need that. There are so many people that are being taken advantage of by these greedy insurance companies.
Yeah.
And anybody that's in an accident, they just need an attorney. So it's great to have a resource and somebody that's very well equipped in that area of law. And a lot of law firms, especially when they want to do personal injury, they navigate and they typically gravitate to that side of personal injury. The other side of a personal injury field is the litigation process, the cases that don't settle in pre-litigation. They need to go to that next level. They need a lawsuit filed. They may need a trial. They need to go through that process. And the thing that my business partner and I, Mark, have realized is, baseball and football, two totally separate things. Constitutional law and employment discrimination, two separate things. Pre-litigation and litigation, two entirely separate things. And you can't use the same team for pre-litigation that you can for litigation. So we've specialized even further that we are a personal injury law firm, but we are a personal injury law firm that offers litigation services to other law firms. And that is our niche. That is where we fit, while also not doing pre-litigation and driving up the partners that we're trying to help. We don't want to drive up their acquisition costs. So we stay in our lane and we only offer those litigation services to help other attorneys make more money faster and with less stress.
Oh, very interesting. So what sort of percentage of personal injury activities end up in litigation versus being settled prior to that?
I'm going to say a vast majority of the cases are, I won't say that they're adjusted fairly, but they are resolved without having to get to the litigation phase. There's a lot of factors that are at play for a client or an estate that's been involved in a personal injury, whatever it is. I mean, you've got time, you've got money, you've got, do you want to commit this much? Do you want to have to go back and relive the past? So, there's sometimes where the insurance company wins and they're able to settle for a lot less, but that's worth more to the person or the family. And on the flip side as well, sometimes it works out the other way and they get more than the insurance company is willing to pay, but they want to get it done as well. But there are those that do need litigation. So I would say probably at least 60% of cases do resolve without having to file a lawsuit.
Okay. Well, still a pretty significant number, 40% that go to lawsuit phase.
And that number's changed drastically as well. I don't know what has happened. I have my thoughts. Not much has changed in the last, 10, 15 years, other than the fact of advertising. Advertising has just gone through the roof with a lot of these insurance companies. Rates really haven't changed too much, so they're not getting a lot more money. So my thought is, in order to pay for all of these advertising, campaigns, they had to steal that money from claims. And I think that's why claims have gone down, which has necessitated that lawsuits have gone up because they aren't willing to pay as much. But
Yes.
still, I mean, 40% is a large number, but generally your case is probably going to resolve at some point in the pre-litigation phase or even the litigation phase. Very few cases do actually go to trial.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your specific role there at the firm?
So I'm working as the managing partner, but I'm also working in another field. So my business partner and I have learned through the practice of law and becoming an entrepreneurial minded business owner that
Yes.
you have to do what you're good at. And you can't do everything. My job as the owner of a business is not to know how to do everything or be good at everything, but to bring on people that are good in their respective skill sets where they want to be and place them in roles to be successful. So being the managing attorney is not necessarily doing all of the work, but helping the attorneys that we have to succeed. And then at the same time, I'm also working in a role of the sales and marketing aspect. And then my business partner, Mark, he's responsible for the operations and the finance, and we kind of divide and conquer that way.
Very nice. Well, it's an interesting you bring that point up because I know a couple of corporate attorneys who specialize in sort of corporate law stuff. And I've had some good conversations with them where we've talked about, well, how do you run your business? Right? Because you're actually running a business. He goes, yeah, I know. I went to law school for 3 years and I did not have one how to run your business course. And I graduate from law school and, whether I join as an associate or whether I hang my own shingle, I'm running a business. And it was like a steep learning curve. I knew nothing about that.
No, I think that's one of the biggest failures across our nation when it comes to law schools and the state bars. I mean, because just like you said, whether I'm going to say at least probably 60 to 70% of attorneys at some point in their career are going to be a very high level decision maker in the law firm that they're at,
Right.
or they're going to own their own law firm.
Right.
Most people end up in that position at some point in time, but they never tell us the basics of running a business or, what processes, what procedures are, how to think like an entrepreneur. And then when you backtrack and then you look at all of the, the things that are said about attorneys and how we're just cheats and we're thieves and we're stealing and taking advantage and all the negative aspects that come from attorneys generally are in relation to they don't have business skills. They don't know how to run a business, which then leads into this just dumpster fire of all the problems with the bar.
Right.
Whereas let's just fix it and talk about it and teach it. And then we don't have to, relearn or learn it, much less relearn it.
Yeah, exactly. And your clients interact with you not only sort of in the legal context, but they're also interacting in a business context, right? Customer service, all those things that they hopefully teach you in business school or in a how to run your own business course. And so you have to have both facets of that. So it's very interesting that you recognize that, right? You have one partner who sort of runs the business, so to speak, right? And focuses on that because they have the skills in it.
And I think that's a lot of problems too with partnerships, because you see so many law firms that either start out or become partners and then they dissolve or move away because they don't know how to work together.
Right.
They don't understand that, one person can have a skill set over here and another person can have a skill set, and those two things can coexist because you can't do the same thing. If you've got, 4 named partners that are all making the financial decisions or the process decisions or the marketing decisions, you're obviously going to run into problems. You have to stay in your lane and then also have that trust that the other person is doing what's in the best interest of the company. So there's a lot of things there with vision and clarity and transparency and cohesiveness that you have to go together as a business.
Sure. So how long has your firm been around, and what sort of inspired you to found, to go out on your own sort of and found a separate firm?
It was Well, I probably have two perspectives. I'm thinking back of the idealistic perspective, looking back over the years of what I was thinking, and
Yes.
probably like, when I'm looking back, sitting in that, law firm that I was in, like, all right, we're ready to start something new. It's probably two different viewpoints.
Hmm.
But the law firm that I was at, my business partner and I, Mark, we started within 2 weeks of each other. And we realized very early on in that firm that, we can probably do this ourselves. We can probably do this a little better. And then it'll be just that. It'll be ours. And we'll be able to
Yes.
help people the way that we want to help them, as opposed to having to take direction from somebody else, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just if you have your own ideals and vision, that's a good thing. So we put things in place, and it was about 11 to 12 months later, once we made that decision, that we opened Georgia Trial Attorneys.
Mm.
And we were these idealistic, pie in the sky, thought that this, just grandiose law firm was just gonna just spontaneously just grow forth, and it was going to be all
Right. Right.
unicorns and rainbows and sunshine. Very early on, we realized that there's a lot of work to running a business. And I mean, for probably the first 4 years, 3 years, I mean, we really didn't know what we were doing. We were making all the mistakes that you shouldn't make,
Mm.
and having to figure things out on our own because there's not a lot of resources. But we got into coaching. We found out that there's a whole business world that's out there, and we're like, okay, we need help. We understand that we need help. We want to be accepting to learn to think like a business owner. And that's just been what's changed so much, is adopting the mindset of an entrepreneur that just so
Yeah.
happens to practice law.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the challenges in any business is finding customers, or in your case, clients. So how has that shifted on how you do that from those early days, right, when you first sort of started, to how you do that now?
Yeah, it's an entirely, 180-degree switch. I mean, doing the business that we do now is the exact opposite, because before we were a B2C business, a business to consumer. We were
Yes.
going after individuals that were injured in accidents. Now, on the other side, we're a B2B. We're going
Yes.
in business to business. So we're looking for other law firms that we can help to then offer our services as effectively their outsourced litigation department.
Right. Right.
So it's an entirely different dynamic. The demographics are different. Everything about it is a different perspective. And one thing that we've transitioned away from is, the marketing, the social media, the Facebook, all the push to get in front of eyeballs. Well, I know exactly how many lawyers there are in the state of Georgia. I
Right.
can just look that up very easily.
And you know where their offices are. You know what their phone numbers are.
Yeah. So with that, it's more of, okay, we have a box. We know exactly who our audience is. Now we need to go and market and network. And that's
Yes.
where it's different. You can do a digital campaign and you can get leads right away. Not necessarily the case when it comes to business, especially dealing with other law firms. So my role in marketing and sales is I'm now out meeting with other law firms, and I'm building relationships, because in this instance, relationships are what matter. You only really do business with people that you know, like, and trust. And those things don't come easy. So my role is now meeting other attorneys, getting to know them, building a relationship, telling them first, but building that trust, and then showing them how we can help them, and then getting exposure to their networks, and then spidering it out that way,
Yes.
as opposed to, the cold call. Cold calls on my end don't really work. It's more about relationships, introductions, and referrals. That's an entirely different model of
Yeah.
business development versus, direct marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little bit familiar with the medical field. And there are, doctors, there is a group of physicians, like analogous to what you do, that help other physicians with really difficult cases, or they come in and do the really difficult cases. And one of the ways that they establish their expertise is through publications and presentations at, medical forums. Is it similar in the law space?
Yes. I mean, so we have something that's, CLEs, continuing legal education. So, having the opportunity to get in front of other lawyers to, provide a benefit, but also by providing that benefit and putting yourself out there as not necessarily an expert, but an authority on a particular subject gives you the opportunity to then say, this is what we do. This is my business. This is how we help other people. And it's more of just offering a taste. You never go in with a hard sell. If you go in with a hard sell, you turn people off and say, hey, here's something, this is something that you could use. This could potentially be a benefit to you, and working that way and getting to know the person. So that's where, there's a little bit of a difference in that.
Right. So what I hear you saying is there's this notion of establishing your credibility and your expertise and differentiating that. So, filling a niche for your clients, which are other attorney firms, and then going out and figuring out how to meet them, how to engage with them, and how to get that eyeball to eyeball relationship going so that you can have a relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a couple ways this can go. With the business to consumer thing, a lot of attorneys, and specifically personal injury attorneys, they fail to see the forest for the trees. A lot of times they look at one client, one customer, and they see it as a one-time transaction. You need to look at your clients for their lifetime value. Especially in the personal injury field, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when they're going to get in that next accident, especially in Georgia and further in the Atlanta metro area. So if you stay in touch with them, if you continue to follow up and market to them, they will come back. So you can get a lot out of that on a business to consumer side. Same thing with the business to business. If I build a strong relationship with one firm, that one firm could send me 20 cases a month or more. That's worth a lot to me and to them.
Right.
So with that, it's more about finding who all is out there. What is their need? What is their, caseload that they could be helped with, and then onboarding them into our system, but then still continuing to network and follow up. Because if that relationship goes bad, all of those cases go, as opposed to just that one.
That's right. Yeah. Good point. So what sort of activities give you the sort of greatest amount of traction and results in sort of connecting with other law firms and getting that business?
The first thing, the easiest thing, everybody has to eat. And that's one of the first things really when it comes to sales and business development is, taking people out to lunch and dinner. That's the easiest way. And everyone, I mean, especially attorneys, they like to eat at nice places. So that's one thing that I do is I'll take people out to lunch. I'll take people out to dinner and then get to know them. Then from there, then it can, develop into other things like, let's go play golf at the golf club. Let's go out to a Hawks game. Let's go out to a football game. Let's start to build a relationship, because then you get to know somebody outside the practice of law and you see how they interact on a personal level with others. And I think that shows a lot about who you are and then who they are. And then do your philosophies and do your personalities align. Because again, you want to do business with people that you feel comfortable with, because there may be a referral back. I may have a referral for you as well. And I want to have the confidence to know, like, and trust you that the referral I'm handing to you is going to be taken care of.
Right. Because it reflects on them as well.
Yeah.
Right. And it sounds like these engagements that you have with these other firms are long lasting. So you want to be able to get along, right? Like, as you said, you want to work with people that you get along with. You sort of have the similar values and ideas. It's not just a quick transaction. It's not a quick transaction business. These are long lasting relationships. So what percentage of your time, let's say in a week, do you devote to sort of, cultivating the fields and going out and building these relationships?
Oh, I mean, it's easily 50% or more. I mean, that's the vast majority of my time is spending time with other attorneys. And I would lump in, there's planning that goes in as well, and working with my team to make sure that we're able to plan things and put pieces in place and make sure that all the logistics are worked out. But yeah, I mean, a very big part of my week is focused on other attorneys and these other firms that we work with, because it's twofold marketing. You've got to work with the people that you currently have. You've still got to market to them. It's a different message because they're already doing business with you, but you still have to maintain this while also going out and seeking other business, while also going out and saying, these are the prospects to come in the next
Right.
90 days. There,
Right.
you know, it's all about marketing and planning and managing the whole funnel and multiple things.
Yeah. So if you reflect back over the last, 5 or 6 years, what are some of the lessons that you've learned from marketing and trying to attract other law firms and build those relationships? What are some of the key takeaways that if you had to say, here's my top 3, what are they?
Man, there are so many lessons. The biggest lesson overall, it may not be directly on point, but it does relate, is being cheap is expensive.
Mm,
Don't be cheap when it comes to anything. The first thing a lot of people think of is staff, but obviously that's a huge one. But if you're cheap in any area of your practice, whether it's sales, marketing, production, your people, your financial controls and metrics, whatever it is going to be expensive down the road. So especially when it comes to our marketing and sales process,
yes.
you can't be cheap. You have to put your best foot forward, because this is the first and potentially only interaction you may have with someone. And a lot of times people perceive that the way you do one thing is the way
Yes.
you do everything.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and say, hey, I'm going to invite you to this, $15,000 plate dinner. No,
Right.
but, don't be like, hey, let's go out to McDonald's and I'm going to tell you about this business where we can make each other a lot of money and save you time. Like, again,
Right. Right.
perceptions are real.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one. And then the other is being objective.
Mm,
If you are not objective, you are running your business based upon your gut or your feel or hunches. The second that you do that, you're off the rails. And I think that's a problem with a lot of legal community, because we don't have that training. But through a lot of the coaching that my business partner and I have done, we've come to realize that you have to run a business based upon objective metrics, objective key performance indicators, and objective standards.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it's just like Amazon. Like, Jeff Bezos does not run Amazon based on gut and feel and
Right.
whims that come by.
Right.
It's based on metrics. And if Amazon can do it, any other business can do it, even if my business just so happens to practice law. So, again, from all of those different facets of running a business, and specifically with marketing and sales, you have to run it based on your metrics. You have to know, what is your sales cycle this quarter? Was it last quarter? What's your conversion ratio? And tracking all of those things,
Yes.
because you may think the problem's over here, but the numbers tell you that the problem's down here. And that allows you to fix and adjust, as opposed to just saying, well, I'm going to throw out this whole marketing campaign and go with something new, when it's just
Right.
one little tweak.
Right. Right. Excellent point. Boy, you sounded like a MBA business school professor right there.
Well, I've made a lot of mistakes to get here. So that's, you see the scars, then you'll understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are excellent points. So what's sort of the next big goal that you want to achieve at the firm?
So where we are right now is we're offering this in Georgia.
Yes.
We are, building out our process. We're building out our team so that we have capacity to go outside of Georgia. And we've done that through an entirely virtual team, which has really helped by not limiting ourselves geographically to, you have to work in this physical location. It has opened up a whole world of candidates. We have people all across the US, all across the world that work for us, but now we're really pushing to build up that team, because the model that we have here that works in Georgia can work in any other state. So that is our next big push, is to then open up in other states and offer the exact same services to other firms, because bottom line, there's just a need for it. If you are running 2 law firms or 2 departments, pre-litigation and litigation, with the same staff, you're doing effectively a mediocre job. And you could run one really well, exceptional, and that's going to make the clients even happier, and then let us be exceptional where we are, and it benefits everyone.
Right.
So I definitely see it as a service that's not just something that's Georgia specific, but something that's really can be offered effectively across the nation. But you've got to make that first step into the next state, see what works, see what doesn't work, adapt, and then
Yes.
roll out to others.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So let's start wrapping this up. Is there something that I should have asked you that I haven't, or is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
One thing I like to share is check out our website.
Yes.
833forthewin.com. That's our toll-free number, 833-4thewin.com. Check out our free resources. We like to offer a lot of our template complaints, motions, pleadings across the board, so that way others can benefit from what we've seen that works, whether it be discovery or, it doesn't matter what it is. A lot of attorneys hold that dear and personal, that this is my special pleading and it's only going to help me. But a rising tide lifts all ships. And if my templates can help you do better, then that's great. If you have questions with my templates and think we can work together based upon the work product you've seen that we've offered for free, you probably have an indication of the work product you're going to get when there's money that's being exchanged and exchanging hands. So use our free resources, use us. I have no problem. I talk with attorneys across the nation several times each week. So, if you want to pick up the phone and call me, if you want to email me, if you want to do a Zoom call, I love talking with other attorneys. I love helping other attorneys, helping them litigate their cases and maximizing their recovery for their clients and for their firm.
That's great. I'm glad you shared that, because that was going to be my last question, was how do people get in touch with you? So, hey, James, I really enjoyed our conversation. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
No, thank you very much. It's been a blast.
Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.